Oh, it's been said a bard's life can often be a hard life, or hill and dale to rove and always move from town to town. And some folk have inquired if ever we grow tired of ranging all around the world and never settling down.
But one should be a little wary of remaining stationary, 'cause comfortable is lovely, but it's not the way we grow. When life starts to unravel, pick up your pack and travel. You'll find a strange serenity in places you don't know. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-doo-rat-terry-o-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. You've got no map for showing which direction you are going.
But why start on a journey if you know where it will end?
And once you recognize,
To anticipate surprise, you'll relish every twist and turn that lies around the bend. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-doo-rat-terry-o-dee-da-dee-da-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road.
the world has got its demons. There are many reasons why you'd find it harder to be brave than be afraid.
But every life could use some danger. Every friend was once a stranger. Ships are safe in harbor, but that's not why ships are made.
Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-doo-rat-terry-o-dee, dee, a fwit-dee-dee-dee-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. Adventures waiting further down the road.
Let's go!
Good evening, friends, and welcome to another episode of Gothic Horror Gaming here on Nat 21 Adventures. I am your host, the Gloom Master, and tonight we're going to go a little west. But before I get going too far, hold your horses now. I want to thank our sponsors here. on Gothic Horror Gaming. I'm going to start off with the fine folks at Ren Adventures. Now, renadventures.com is the place you want to go. We're going to have Dungeons and Dragons and horror games down in New Orleans, December 5th through the 9th. And many of your favorites will, in fact, be there, performing at the Louisiana Renaissance Fair. But during the week, we'll be touring around with you in Old New Orleans and gaming with you all right down there. So check that out, renadventures.com. I know some of the tickets have already sold, and there's only going to be so many. So be sure to check that out. If you want to travel to other places and see other things, also check renadventures.com. They do have very fine tours in Italy and the Czech Republic and such like that. So, oh yes, Patreon patrons do get a discount. So if you're a Patreon patron here at Nat 21, you will get a discount to come on down with us to New Orleans. Also want to thank our friends, our good friends at 3D2U. They make all sorts of gaming supplies, wood burned and 3D printed, all sorts of things, dice towers, journals, that sort of thing. So check them out at 3d2u.org. Also, I would be remiss if I did not plug myself and my beautiful bride with our book, Dare, a collection of short fiction and poetry by Melissa Lee and narrated by yours truly. You can find that on Amazon and on Audible. And you can also go join us on our Patreon at Quill and Quote, where we have a bunch of new material coming out, and we'll have a new book hopefully next year sometime. So, we are going to play a little game called Chill. Chill is a horror-based game. In that universe of Chill, the supernatural is very real, very deadly, and generally not well known among the general public. It is kept kind of hush-hush. As a result, this is a horror game, and there are elements of violence, descriptions of blood and gore, things of common phobias, spiders, that sort of thing. So if that's not really your scene, we understand. Please, we won't take any offense if you want to bustle on down the line. But if it is in your wheelhouse, please stick around. We're going to have some probably very gruesome horror coming up. I think you'll like it. Another note, we are setting this in 1871. And for those of you unfamiliar with history, this is only 5 years after the Civil War has ended. And some of our characters may have taken part at different points in that conflict. So just be aware that some things might come up. We will be respectful and such, but be aware that these are topics that might creep into the game, or they might not. They might not affect anything at all. That's sort of up to our players. Now, as far as the rule system goes, the way we're doing the rules this time around is we're using the over-the-edge rules. It's a fine gaming system, and it's very, very simple. You have 3 traits. One is your primary, and then you have 2 side traits. Anything you want to do, you see if it falls under one of your traits. And then you will roll a corresponding number of 6-sided dice in an attempt to succeed at that task. So let us give an example. Let us say that you are let's say you're a Pony Express rider. So you're a Pony Express rider, that's your primary trait. And on the sides, you are a bookworm, read a lot, that's one of your side traits. And maybe your other side trait is that you fancy yourself an amateur blacksmith. So we'll put that there too. So now our character, our fictional Pony Express rider, is attempting to jump his horse over an obstacle while he is fleeing from some horrible unnamed thing. He would roll 4d6, 4 dice, because it's his primary trait. And he would add those together and attempt to hit a target number. Now, let's say this same character is trying to repair an iron hinge on a door that is broken. But he's got a forge there available to him. Well, as he is an amateur blacksmith, he would roll 3d6 in this case, attempt to hit a target number. Likewise, if he was trying to recall a particular passage in a book as a bookworm, he would also get a chance to roll 3d6 and attempt that. Now, if he's trying to do something that has nothing to do with any of his traits, let's say, for example, he's trying to perform an emergency tracheotomy on somebody with a pen a la MASH, he would instead just roll 2d6 in an attempt to succeed at that. Now, all of you watching on Twitch and YouTube, but Twitch in particular, you can actually affect these rolls. You can spend your Twitch points with our good friend over there, Sir David Percival, who's in the background, helping us out over there in the comments. And you spend your points with him, and that gives a help that you can, yes, I would like to offer everyone 2d6 for a tracheotomy. I am confident in my skills right now. I have watched episodes of Quincy. I'll be all set. But indeed, you can spend your Twitch points, give helps to the players, or to me, the Gloom Master, as the game master, if you want to make things harder for them. Now, when you give a help, the person in question, let's say one of our players, player A, has a help, and they are trying to pry open a door, and it's very important that they do so. They can spend that help with Sir David Percival, and when he does that, you roll an extra d6 to your total. So let's say that it's our Pony Express rider, and he's fairly good shape, being a blacksmith, so we would normally roll 3d6 to strength open the door, pry it open. But because he spends a help, which he must announce in advance, he rolls an extra d6. So now he's rolling 4d6, but he can still only take the 3 highest of what he would normally be allowed. So since normally he would be allowed 3, he's getting to roll 4, he takes the 3 highest, and so on. It becomes pretty self-evident as we go. I think that is all the rules that we really need to be concerned with. And instead, I would like to move on to where we are. The year, as I said, is 1871. And the place is Council Bluffs, Iowa. Council Bluffs, Iowa, if you are unaware, is the beginning point of the recently constructed transcontinental railroad that runs all the way from Council Bluffs to San Francisco, California. The journey takes about 5 days, give or take. The Golden Spike, which put this all together, was driven in just back in 1869, so not that long ago. But there is regular rail service now going to and from San Francisco. And our train is preparing to load and go on its journey west when our first passenger arrives. First in line is none other than the ubiquitous Jackson Weatherwax. So let me get Jackson Weatherwax here for you. Jackson, yes.
I suppose these accommodations are adequate for the journey.
Indeed.
Being newly christened, one would think that there wouldn't be as much human evidence in a train car, but we do what one can. Yeah, this is fine.
Jackson, can you describe yourself for everybody at home?
I am a carpenter by trade. I build things. I make sure that they are still standing. I am also I know how I've worked with tools in various situations that are useful to myself and sometimes others. Recently, the unpleasantness that our nation faced, fortunately, helped my pocketbook considerably. So,
physically, what do you look like?
Oh, well, I'm 5'6", 190 pounds. I'm surprisingly strong and toned, but I do eat well, so I'm.
You have a little bit of extra reserves.
Absolutely, certainly.
Very good.
It is the sign of living well.
Excellent. Well, the conductor takes the next ticket, and into that self-same car steps a man of the cloth.
Hello,
Henry
friends.
Alverton.
Hi. I'm very excited to be here. Very, very pleased to be here. I think the first time we see Henry Alverton, he is actually helping a couple of older women. He's helping load the luggage onto the train, and he is a middle-aged man, graying in the beard and hair. He's maybe a little on the thin side, and well weathered as well. Looks like he's had a hard couple of years.
Very good. The conductor checks your ticket and guides you into the car. You have sleeper cars at this point, but then there's also just the general lounge car. Let me show you what that looks like, just so you get an idea of your general. Now this is the regular traveling car, but there is in fact a sleeper cars in here as well. It's pretty much one of these and a sleeper car, then another one of these, and then a sleeper car. The sleeper cars have little berths on the side that have beds in them. So just to give you an idea of what you are walking into.
Charming.
Also, the next person to step in is another gentleman, Mr. Roland Hussey.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Lovely to make your acquaintance. Roland Hussey. I'm from Georgia. I am a man of rather average stature, and I'm attempting to go make my way west, have a fresh start on things, and become a merchant with my own mercantile.
It's convenient that you want to go west because that's the only direction this train goes.
Well,
so
yes.
That worked out well.
I understand the desire to start anew. I myself am doing the same.
Yeah, excellent, my friend. Well,
I would
lovely to meet you.
I would relish the chance to peruse your wares at our destination's completion. That sounds fun.
Oh, absolutely. And if we become fast friends, then I believe I will have to give you a friends and family discount.
Very kind of you. Very kind of you. Might I know any of your tools before?
No. This is a new venture for me. I worked in the law before this in St. Louis, and now I'm just trying to see what else life has for me.
Best of luck. Your competition is severely lacking in quality. I look forward to quality merchandise.
Yeah, excellent.
Very well. Well, as your conversation is progressing, in your very, very, very similar styles, what can one do? There's not exactly a TJ Maxx down the road here. In walks,
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, anyway. More of a Woolworths in your instance. But in walks a woman after her ticket is taken.
Well, hi there, everybody. How we doing today?
Ma'am.
My name is Ada Monahan. And, well, we find ourselves on this quite lovely train car, don't we?
Seems that way.
Well, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. And, I, like many, am looking for a new start on the West Coast. I hear that one can find opportunity there and perhaps someone to settle down with.
Oh, one can hope.
Indeed.
Very well.
I had thought that my book would provide an adequate story, but it seems as if, since we're all going through our autobiographies, I will be going to check on a house owned formerly by my brother, which I assume is in terrible disrepair. I will be taking it over and rebuilding it and so forth. Thank you kindly.
I do love a nice waistcoat. What can I say?
I think making a house into a home is a worthy adventure.
It will be a boarding house. The rent will be paid on time.
How economical.
Well, several more passengers pile into your car. You have a total of probably about 10 people in your car with you. And a few moments later, the whistle blows, and with a slight lurch, the train begins to move across the flat plains of Iowa. There's a little bit of chill in the air. It's late October. This is one of the last times that the train is running for the season, as the weather does get bad as time goes along. So it's late October, and you begin your journey out of the station at Council Bluffs, Iowa. It's going to be about a 5-day journey. Just to give you a little more idea of what is going on as far as the train itself goes, I'll show you a picture. You can see there's, of course, an engine up in the front. Then there is usually a mail car right behind that. And then there are the passenger cars interspersed with sleeper cars. In the middle of the train, there is a dining car. There are several more passenger and sleeper cars after that, a baggage car, and then at the very end, there is, in fact, a caboose. So you get a rough idea. All told, there are 4 sleeper cars, 4 passenger cars, the dining car, the baggage car, the mail car, and the caboose. So not a hugely long train, but decently long enough. About 8, 9, 10, so 12 cars. So figure the whole thing is probably a good football field long, maybe a little bit longer from end to end, including the end zones.
Where in the position is our car?
You are actually the second passenger car.
Thank you.
Toward the front. So it's a engine, baggage. Engine, mail, sleeper, passenger, sleeper, passenger. That's where you are currently, although you will be going into the sleeper cars when the time comes. And then right behind you, all along the train, is the dining car. So you are adjacent to the dining car. And then after that is another sleeper, passenger, baggage, caboose. Sorry, I had to wet my whistle. So you travel along, you pass through Omaha, Nebraska, past the cattle yards. You do stop briefly to take on the mail to be heading out west. And then you continue your way across the fields of Nebraska. And the day passes pleasantly enough. It's a little, like I said, it's a little chill, but there are little stoves in every car to keep things warm. The porter, Marcus Grenville, comes through on occasion and brings in extra. They've installed, it's brand new, they've installed coal burners in the individual cars. So he comes through with a little coal scuttle and refills the bin next to the stove every once in a while. The conductor, Samuel Thompson, comes through, makes sure everyone is doing well. He informs you when the dining car is open. Obviously, the meal is not included. Luckily, you've all provided with funds. a point that I would like to ask all of you at this time is, what have you brought with you? And we will start with Roland Hussey. It, is there anything of note on your person or in your baggage back in the baggage car?
Oh, well, yes. In my baggage, I have quite a bit of odds and ends with me to have the initial stock for my store, for the premises I've already uh, um, purchased in San Francisco. Now, on myself, on my own person at this moment, I have a valise and also just like magazine, something to read.
Oh, and I would
I'm
ask the
probably
other players.
reading Harper's.
I would ask the other players to disregard any information you might hear about things that are not visible. This to make it easier, so I don't have to take you all out of the stream and bring you back. Roland, are you carrying anything, any weaponry or anything like that?
Yes. Under under my under my pant leg, I carry a knife. But I haven't carried a gun in several years. Since 1868, when there was an incident, and I unfortunately took another man's life in a law enforcement incident.
I see. All right. Well, let me ask Jackson Weatherwax, is there anything that you are bringing along with you on this journey?
In my baggage, I have a small kit for smelting down precious metals. I have my book, a very large tome that is insufferable, and I wish I knew that before I brought it. I do have a Smith & Wesson Schofield 6-shot revolver that I have acquired, and small amounts of cash, enough for what I need. I am carrying in my baggage several items to be traded and sold away from eyes in the East that could be interested in such things.
Very well. Ida, do you have anything you would like to declare?
I shall indeed. I have a modest wardrobe in the back. I have a copy of the New Testament with me. I have a deck of cards, a small pistol that is hiding in my handbag. As a woman traveling alone, you can never be too careful. And a lockpick set.
Is that a little 2-barrel Derringer?
Indeed.
Very good. And Reverend, do you prefer Reverend?
I don't insist on the formality of it. No.
Oh, very well. Henry.
I'm comfortable with it, but if you're not, then don't. Not necessary.
Well, I'm omnipotent, so whatever. But go on.
I am carrying all of my worldly possessions with me in a small suitcase, which is probably 3 changes of clothes. I also have a copy of the good book with me, and a violin.
A violin. Interesting.
Yes.
Very good. Well, the first day is passing by. Lunch is being served in the dining car. People are asked. The conductor's coming around one at a time to invite people from each car to come in, so it's not mobbed all of a sudden. Is there anything on this first day of travel that you would like to do, or are you just sort of maintaining your distances?
I think Henry is. I think I'm keeping to myself, keeping quiet. Generally, have a sort of a preternatural sense of calm about him. I'm happy to make conversation with anyone who comes to him, but he's not going to initiate anything just yet.
Are you wearing anything, Henry, that clearly denotes that you are, in fact, a minister?
I don't think I am. No, I'm not. Very
good. It is not obvious to the casual glance.
Yes.
Very well. Anybody else? How are you passing your time?
reading my terrible book.
I would like to roll one of my secondary traits. Just to take a look around, see who's here.
All right, go ahead.
16.
It becomes very apparent to you that there are a number of individuals on this train, not just in this car, but on this train, who are all seeking to start a new life for various reasons, some of which are probably not, you can tell by the nervousness of them, probably not necessarily on the up and up. As far as the companions you've actually spoken to here in the car, it seems that all three of these gentlemen are looking forward to starting something new, though you can't quite get a read on why exactly they want to start anew.
Who's the richest man in the car?
That would be Frederick Ames. He's a businessman out of Chicago.
I would like to amble on over to
Very
Mr.
good.
Ames.
Big mutton chops, big fluffy face, and very portly, sitting there smoking big cigars and constantly going back to the dining car and grabbing himself another glass of bourbon.
Well, when he comes back, I'd like to be situated quite near him, please. Thank you.
Very well. You're sitting next to Frederick Ames. He's you notice he's giving you several side-eye glances, appraising you like you were a side of beef.
Expensive beef, I hope. Don't you just love trains?
I do indeed like trains. I do. It's very soothing. He's traveled for business, and this is the best part of the business is traveling. Yes.
Do you
And
travel
meeting
quite
wonderful
often?
people like you.
Oh. My name is Ada Monahan. I do not believe we have been introduced.
Ada, I'm Frederick. Frederick Ames. Yes, it's a pleasure to meet you. Yes.
Well, likewise, I'm sure.
Heading out to San Francisco, are you? Well, that's delightful.
Indeed.
All by your lonesome.
Unfortunately, yes. My father passed away quite recently. And, times being what they are, I have felt like I needed a new life, maybe.
Oh, was he in San Francisco?
Oh, no, he was back home in Savannah.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry for your loss.
Why, thank you, sir. That's very kind of you to say.
Well, I will say that if at any point along this journey that you need any assistance whatsoever, do not feel in the slightest bit of hesitation and to speak to me, Frederick Ames. I am gallant and glad to help.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Mr. Ames. I do look forward to getting better acquainted with you.
Oh, indeed. Meanwhile, Jackson Weatherwax, what are you doing?
Does anyone else wish to learn all about the antics of a ship that can travel underwater? Drivel. Absolute drivel. Is there perhaps a catalog I can thumb through? Please, I will gladly trade you this wreck.
If you
Anybody?
are finished with that book, I will. I wouldn't mind perusing it.
You're a braver man than I. I cannot. Here.
I could offer you mine, but I'm not sure it would.
Oh, I've read it.
I suspected as much.
I found it ironic that he was a carpenter.
Ironic.
That is all I will say on the matter. I have found that this topic usually brings the ire in people, and I do not wish to do this, as this is still relatively early in our journey. Never talk politics or religion, friend. Of course, I've managed to bring up both. I apologize. This book has vexed me in ways I could not possibly fathom. Your name was Henry, was it not?
Yes, Henry Alverton. Mr. Weatherwax, correct?
Yes.
A pleasure. Vern,
you-
Frenchman? Yes?
No.
No, the author of this book.
Yes. 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 Have you residence in San Francisco? Do you have a place to stay?
I have a contact who I'm hoping to check in with when I get there, and perhaps I will find employment then. Not
If
much
you
more
are-
than a name, unfortunately. I'm not quite
If you-
sure what waits for me on the other end of this train.
May I see the name?
Certainly. He hands you a card, and it is from a Methodist church in San Francisco.
Methodists. Very good. Very good. Generous people. Generous people. If you find this to be not to your liking, please, I might have accommodations for you.
At your boarding house.
Possibly, it would be a few months until it is adequately set up, but
And where the rent will be paid on time.
you seem to be a very trustworthy person. A man of God pays his debts, I usually find.
And if not, we simply ask for forgiveness.
Well, we'll burn that bridge when we come to it.
Very good. Meanwhile, Roland over in the corner, you can hear a bit of snoring coming from the from the bench where he is reclined. His current magazine splayed upon his lap. He is awoken by your conversation.
He's awoken as Henry slides the magazine off of his lap and hands it to Jackson in exchange for the book.
Yeah. Take it. Yeah, I finished. It's the latest Harper's.
Forgive me, you didn't seem to be reading it at the moment.
No. It was putting me to sleep. I can say it was a good bedtime story with the gentle rocking of our land ship that we're on.
So the day, speaking of the tiring, the day passes. Night begins to fall. The train has made two very brief stops along the way. Hardly time to get out and more than stretch your legs, maybe grab a sandwich or something, and then get back onto the train again almost immediately. As evening comes, those of you who have paid, which are the four of you, who have paid for a sleeper accommodation, you are shown to your little cabins. Each one is a small little berth with a little tiny coal stove in it and a small, not comfortable but not terrible bed in it as well, with a little sliding door. I'm sure you've seen plenty of depictions of a sleeper car. So you are each escorted to your own individual one. And unless there is anything you want to do, the night passes uneventfully. If you wanted to do anything overnight, please let me know. Otherwise, we will continue.
Just my evening taking of my tonics. Just laudanum and opium.
Very well.
That's what we say back now.
Very well. The
Difficult
next day progresses pretty much in the same fashion, although you notice you are starting to begin to climb. And as the second day progresses, you notice you are getting it's getting colder out. The windows are no longer opened at any time. The little stoves are going on a fairly regular basis. It has gotten quite chilly as you increase in elevation, and not long after, after the second night, on the beginning of the third day, you see the mountains ahead of you. They are imposing. They rise like a wall from the prairie lands and just form almost a palisade across the horizon. At first, you're not sure how close you are, but as the hours progress and you don't seem to get too much closer, you realize that those mountains must be immense. That is the Rocky Mountains and the Great Divide. It does, in fact, as is mentioned in the comments, it does seem to come up out of nowhere. All of a sudden, there is just a wall of mountains, and your rail line goes straight into it and begins to now, instead of just being in a nice straight path, to slowly start to curve around large promontories and slowly wind its way up. As you reach the third, toward the end of the third day, you notice it starts as flurries and then a full-on snow gently falling and quieting everything around, besides the chug of the engine and the rumble of the wheels on the rails as you go over each joint of that thump, 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 as you across each one. But beyond that, all is silent as snow is beginning to accumulate. By the evening, as you're having dinner, you all notice that the train is decidedly slowing down and eventually comes to a stop.
This is an unexpected stop.
You glance out the window, and there is not much. There is no habitation to see, but rather that is what you see out your windows, except more and more snow beginning to accumulate all around you. And the train has definitely come to a stop. Some of the other passengers are muttering to each other.
Please, everyone, I'm sure everything is fine. I will speak to the conductor and see what's going on.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes.
As you rise to speak to the conductor, Samuel Thompson, the conductor himself, does come back into the dining car from the engine end of the train and sees you standing there and sees everybody else and says, ladies and gentlemen, please just, it's fine. Everything is fine. There's a bit of snow on the tracks and we have to stop for a moment. There appears to be a bit of a blockage with the weather, but please do not be alarmed. This is not unexpected. The railroad company has anticipated this. And when we fail to reach our next station, if we cannot move forward, they will send out a snowplow train to clear the track for us from the westward direction. So please remain calm. Yes, sir.
Is there a team that is clearing the snow from the blockage currently?
Yes, there are some. We've got a couple of our porters are out there shoveling the snow out of the tracks, but I'm not sure how much further we're going to get.
If it would help at all, I would volunteer my services. If we can get this damnable train moving faster, all's the better.
Oh,
a moment's discomfort for a speedy recovery of the destination, and I'm sure will be repaid adequately.
I mean, you would certainly your assistance would be welcome, of course. Yes. If anyone else wishes to assist, please just come with me, and we'll see if we can get us some extra shovels.
I would be happy to assist.
I'll go too, I suppose.
Ida, you notice that. I'm sorry, Ada. You notice very decidedly that Frederick Ames has made no move to stand or go.
Gets slightly smaller.
He somehow
As
disappears.
as I go, I pet him. Sit tight, old timer. We'll have you up and moving soon enough.
What? Sorry, I was napping. What?
Mr. Frederick, I seem to have forgotten my pocketbook. Could you buy me a hot chocolate?
Oh, we don't want you to get the chili here at all. No, of course. Here, indeed. Waiter. And he indeed orders you one. Meanwhile, the gentlemen go outside, and some extra shovels have been found. Normally used to shovel coal into the engine. And the snow is now coming down significantly. There are two porters out there who are shoveling away as best they can. You join them, and you manage to clear another, over the span of about 30 minutes, you manage to get the train to move forward about 100 yards.
This is tiring and backbreaking work, and
very little
for very little reward.
progress being made for it.
Well, nothing for it. Keep going.
The conductor comes back out to Samuel Thompson, who's been in and out helping everybody, and says, "I'm terribly sorry. It's getting dark. I feel that maybe we best wait till morning to try any further endeavors." Please, if you follow me, I'll add some whiskey on the company. Thank you for your assistance. We do appreciate it.
Thank you kindly.
I remain outside just for like maybe a minute or two longer than the last person in, just to kind of take in the scenery, if nothing else.
The mountains are pressing in on all sides. The snow is falling thick and heavy. The wind has started to blow, and it's starting to drift up against the sides of the train at this point. It is deathly still, except for the slow chug of the idling, if that is a term for it, engine of the steam engine. It's still, they've kept the fire going in it, but it's at a low burn now.
Yeah. The silence and the view would be beautiful if it wasn't a little unnerving.
Back inside, indeed, they offer you gentlemen a glass of whiskey, if you are so inclined.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
I'll have his.
Of course. Yes, please.
Oh. To your health.
Samuel Thompson comes back again and says, the engineer, Ethan Henderson, doesn't think we can really make any progress until the snow actually stops. But everyone, I just want to let you know that this is anticipated. Not normally this early in the season, but we do, in fact, have extra food and supplies aboard the train. So even if we're stuck here for a day or two, it should not inconvenience us greatly. It's just the loss of time, but we have enough food for everyone for an extra couple of days. And again, once we are not at our station in the morning, a telegraph will go out, and a plow train will be coming to free the way for us. Yes.
Question, conductor. Couldn't we just take some of those shovels, lash them to the front of the train on the cow catcher, and use all of them as a makeshift plow?
Oh, if they break, they end up underneath the train, and more problems are caused. That is
you're right.
I mean, that is merely an assumption, but something that I noticed. There's quite a not insignificant gap between the cow catcher and the trail. I beg your pardon. It is not my place to assume.
Oh no! You're probably right there, Mr. Weatherwax. So,
Gentlemen, when you came back in from outside, you noticed that you are more winded than you would think you would be. The conductor notices that. He goes, "Oh, yes, of course, gentlemen. We are at an altitude of 7,000 feet. We are crossing the Sierra Nevada. This is the highest, one of the highest points of the rail line. So,
oh, yeah,
made me feel like a young buck again. If truth be told,
well,
over a mile high.
yes, indeed.
I've spent most of my life at sea level.
Nerd.
Things wind down. The evening. It's still pleasantly warm in the cars. There's an ample supply of coal, and everything winds down for the evening. People are told to settle in for the night.
As I pass by some of the other passengers, I look at Mr. Ames and just sort of question him briefly. Mr. Ames, you are a man of means. Are you expected in San Francisco at a certain time?
I am indeed. I'm an important. He looks over at Ada. I'm an important man in San Francisco. They know me well. They'll if I fail to arrive. If I fail to arrive, don't worry. They'll send someone to come get us. Don't worry. He pats you on the hand, Ada. Don't worry, they'll come and get us.
I thought that might be the case.
How illuminating.
Thank you for everything you're doing for our safety, Mr. Ames.
Oh, it's nothing, my boy, nothing at all. Glad to do it.
Was there anything else that you had to say, Mr. Henry?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm turning in for the evening, I'm sure.
Very good. So it is the end of the evening. Does anyone do anything in the evening?
I have an idea. Before we all go to bed, because this reminds me of this fantastic Christmas when I was a kid, and it was the first time it had snowed outside of Macon, Georgia, for years, and we all sat around.
Where's that book?
And we had some hot chocolate, and we had some hot toddies, and we sang Christmas carols. And that might help keep all of our spirits up.
I did bring a violin.
Oh.
And he produces his case from underneath the bench.
All right.
It's a squid. Huh.
Does anyone else know "Hark the Herald Angels Sing"?
Why, yes, I do.
Well, I propose we sing that, my friends. Let's keep up our spirits as the beautiful snow comes down from the great Rocky Mountains. Can you ever imagine being a mile high in the sky?
It is a wonder to behold.
Yeah. Feel like we're in a club all together here.
I've already started quietly playing the melody line.
Very good. Several of the other passengers join in your impromptu caroling, most of them half-heartedly, and then they slowly all drift away to bed.
Well. Thanks very much, Mr. Alberton. It was worth a shot. Good night, sir.
Good night, my friend.
Mr. Weatherwax, Ms. Monahan.
Not a bad voice.
Thank you.
Mr. Hussey? Till tomorrow.
As people are filtering out of the room, I'm playing Nearer, My God, to Thee.
Of course you are. So the night passes quiet, very quiet. The quietest it's been because the engine is just barely running now, and you're not moving over the rails. Just before dawn, the sun is just starting to peek over the horizon and lighten up the sky. You suddenly hear a shrill scream echo in the valley in which your train is located. A high-pitched wail of a woman, you would guess,
But not on the train, from outside the train.
from outside the train, but near the train.
I
Bolt upright.
open the window. Yeah, open the window, or I go out into the hallway to go to
Stumble out
a
in the
window
hall as
to
well.
investigate.
I
You
was
see-
not sleeping.
You see other people starting to get up and look around curiously, like what is happening. You see Samuel Thompson, the conductor. He's apparently just woken up himself, and he is putting on his coat, looking around, and goes, "What was that? What was that? What was that noise? Huh?"
Are we
Some of
sure
the other
it
passengers-
wasn't? Are we sure it
Some of
wasn't
the
a
other
fox?
passengers point toward the back of the train. It came from over there. It came from down there.
Perhaps we should do a head count, make sure that no one has wandered off the train.
If someone is
Well, I'm-
outside and in need of help, we should tend to them immediately.
I'm pulling on my boots, and I'm gonna start making my way down towards the back if that's where the noise came from.
So as you head toward the rear of the train, toward the caboose, as you get down that way, you see that there's a cluster of people starting to gather, and there's a woman crying inconsolably, being held by the porter, Marcus Grenville, and she's just weeping, and he's holding her, trying to comfort her, and walking her slowly away from the back of the train. She's outside the train. She's in the snowbank outside the train. And he's walking her back into the train and back on board. He's got an ashen look on his face.
I jump down off the back of the train and help her in, and then help him up as well. And then,
He shakily gets back into the train without saying a word.
Mr. Grenville, are you well? Is everything? What seems to be the matter?
He is ashen faced. Henry, you've seen like a shell shocked man before.
Oh yes.
When you were serving in the Union Army. He looks like he has seen something horrible and is just in shock at what he has seen. No words are coming out of his mouth.
Right. Don't try. Don't speak. Just get yourself warm. Sit. Make yourself comfortable.
He nods and then just points back
Tend-
toward the caboose, and then
Tend to the young woman.
and then just goes in. Samuel Thompson gets there, and he grabs the young lady and gets her into a seat and gets her some warm brandy.
Mr. Hussey, you're a lawman. Perhaps we should take a look.
it's been a while. No, you're right. Yes. Let me see if this lady needs any medical attention. I was a corpsman in the Navy, so I might be able to render some assistance first.
If
I
she
meant-
needs a shock,
I
I pull out my bottle of laudanum. She probably has her own, but
Everyone seems to misunderstand me. I will go myself then, and I start trudging out into the snow in the direction that the porter pointed.
I follow him. I'm like, oh, come on.
yeah, I follow as well. After
Damn
giving the
fool.
laudanum to
You
the-
need
to
to
the-
have a lantern with you.
Yeah.
It is starting to lighten up out there. It is visible out in the snow. Ada, what are you doing?
I would like to go to the young woman. Perhaps just sit with her.
All right.
Is there anything that I can see on
Yes,
her?
well, no, give me a perception roll.
12. 18.
It strikes you now that you sit down next to the woman that you didn't see Frederick Ames anywhere along the train. Meanwhile, outside, Roland, Henry, and Jackson, you come around to the back. You see a series of footprints in the snow. They're more muddled now because a couple people have been back there. And as you go to the back, a coppery scent assails your nostrils. And as you come around to the back of the caboose area, there is a mound in the snow of torn and tattered flesh. There is blood splayed about. There are trampled footprints everywhere. And it is you think maybe you see, you're still a few feet away from it, but you see what maybe are exposed ribs jutting out of meat in the ground.
I assume, are we looking at an animal or a person?
It's clear to you, both Roland and Henry would recognize a human corpse.
Right.
What did this to this poor devil?
As you approach closer,
Yes.
as you approach closer, you see an expensive waistcoat torn to shreds, the stub of a cigar in the sand, in the snow, extinguished. It is indeed Frederick Ames. His left arm has been pulled free from the socket. Flesh stripped.
I have my gun out at this point.
Very well. Jackson Weatherwax produces a revolver. There is his left arm is removed. There are large chunks of meat missing from his thighs. His stomach is torn open. His intestines are drug out and broken into sections. As a former corpsman, Hussey, you recognize his liver. It's removed from the body, and there are chunks of it missing.
Does it look like this was systematic?
Roll me your corpsman trait.
All right.
I also have a trait of sort of a basic combat medic.
You can roll that as well.
I only got a 12 on that one.
And 14 for me.
So Roland, this isn't anything like you've ever seen. It's baffling. Like, what would do this? Henry, you're looking at it and going, those look like bite marks. Those look like something was eating him, like several somethings were eating him. Most likely while he was still alive.
My first thought from the damage was the damage that you described was grape shot or chain shot from a cannon, but
no,
now
it is actually pulled out.
Yeah, looking at it closer now, there are wolves in this part of the country.
Yeah, but how would they have gotten him off of the train?
If he foolishly wandered off himself.
in the middle of the night in a snowstorm. It's 7,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains.
I had trouble sleeping last night. Maybe he did as well.
Doesn't add up.
While you gentlemen are deliberating, Ada, you are attempting to console the young woman.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is there anything you want to say or ask her?
Is she saying anything first off, or is she just...
She's sort of babbling at the moment, but it's becoming more coherent as time progresses.
All right, slow down, my dear. Can you tell me exactly what happened? What did you see?
I just went out to meet him. I went out to meet him. He said he'd meet me back at the back of the train. He was so charming and so nice. And then I came out of the train, and there he was.
Who, my darling? Who said this?
Mr. Ames.
Mr. Ames. He said he would meet you at the back of the train.
Oh, yes, he was very flattering, and I thought that maybe I could get to know him a little better. We go for a stroll in the moonlight. It seems so romantic.
Ah, yes, of course, a romantic trudge through the snow. Did he say anything to you before?
He just
About...
told me to meet him out there after midnight, and I overslept a little, and I only just got out there about a half hour ago, and I found him there like that.
Like that? All right, well, you just sit here and sip your brandy, and I stand up and I storm to the back of the train.
You get outside the train, and there is the three gentlemen are still standing there looking down at something in the snow. You hear Ada come up behind you.
This might not be for sensitive eyes, ma'am. We should make our way back.
You know what? I'm going to make that choice for myself.
By
Ada.
all means.
So Jackson steps aside and allows you to proceed, and there you discover the corpse I have just described. He is eviscerated. He is dragged apart. His arm is missing completely. On closer looks, his throat is torn out.
I would like to roll my perception.
Very well. Go ahead.
13.
He was certainly ripped apart by something that ate him. And I need all four of you to roll me. Let's see. Reverend and Russell, you can roll me 4d6. And then Jackson and Ada, if you could roll me 3d6.
Oh.
16.
14.
17.
10.
Jackson, you feel the bile rise in the back of your throat at the sight of this. This is inhuman. You take a moment off to the side of the train and relieve yourself of last night's dinner and what remained of it. Everyone else barely keeps it down.
It was mostly liquid anyway.
Indeed.
Well,
This is, as I said, this is wolf country. I think disembarking from the train, particularly at night alone, is a bad idea.
wolves.
We should.
Wolves?
Yes.
Wolves.
Perhaps we should carry on this conversation inside of the train.
Certainly. I would like to make sure we are able to lay this man to rest as best we can. I will.
In what manner? The ground is frozen solid.
Nevertheless, I'm sure his family would appreciate whatever closure they can be given. I will handle it. You don't have to.
I'll help you with it.
Damnable fool! I will help as well.
At this point, the conductor, Samuel Thompson, has come back, and he's there. He's assessed the situation. He walks off to the side. He retches briefly, and he says, "Well, I have some tarpaulins. Give me a moment."
Yes.
And he comes back with some oilskin tarpaulins to attempt to wrap the body up.
I will. I have done exactly this. I will take care of it. No one else need be exposed to this.
We can put him in the mail car and take him to see his next of kin that way. But whatever.
That is how my brother made his way back to Chicago. It is suitable. While you're doing this, I will be out with the my pistol just to keep my eyes open for wolves.
All right. So you're gathering the body. You manage.
And yeah, this is I don't want to say rote, but this is definitely exactly what he was doing in the war. So
yeah,
Hussey also did some of a similar nature.
yeah.
And so the Confederate corpsman and the U.S. Army chaplain take Frederick Ames to the mail car and manage to get him secured in there. They do have some wood, if some spare planking, if you would like to.
I will construct a suitable receptacle.
For such a large man, it surprisingly does not take as much lumber to create a suitable enclosure for him as it should.
We can pack some snow inside of it too to help keep him
very well
decomposing too fast.
It is certainly chilly out at this point. And the mail car is not heated, so he should be preserved there at least until you come down out of altitude.
Mr. Appleton, you're a minister.
yes,
Do you have any words you'd like to say at this time?
I do not at this exact moment. No, I struggle for the right words.
I'll say something.
Oh,
Yes, Miss Monahan.
Monahan.
While he was a two-timing son of a gun,
That's
he was also very generous and paid for my hot chocolate. Very convivial, from what it seemed. And despite his flaws, no one deserves to end up like this.
Amen.
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 So
I've heard worse eulogies. Funny enough, perhaps we should make our way back to. How is the weather? Has the weather gotten worse? Has it snowed more?
It is continuing to snow. It's a light snow, but it's a constant snow at this point.
I need to get my mind off of this. I offer to start shoveling again with the porters.
The porters are not even bothering at this point, as there are now several feet of snow on the tracks in front.
Well, I hope the plow train gets here soon.
Could we there's significant there's lumber on the train. Could we perhaps take it out further? Set fire to it, just enough to burn a not but to heat up the tracks to make us move a little further.
At this point, the engineer himself, Ethan Henderson, comes in. Gentlemen, I appreciate your endeavors. However, in fact, we could burn some extra lumber and create a fire, and that will grant us an extra 50 yards of movement. As far as I can see, this pass is closed in with snow. We really do have to wait until the plow train comes. We do have to consider the safety of everyone as well. So I would recommend that everyone stay inside their cars. If there's wild beasts about, we don't want any unfortunate glances at the mail car, any unfortunate incidents.
If you have
Any further unfortunate incidents?
Exactly.
if you
Is
have
there a risk
pistol,
that they might
now-
try? Please roll.
Oh no, I was just saying, if you have a pistol, I'd recommend firing about once an hour as it gets darker, in order to help keep some of the wolves away. That is what did him in.
Well, we do have a shotgun and 2 pistols on the train. I do not know that ammunition is such that we could be firing every hour and have any ammunition left after 2 days.
Well,
Anybody want to play bridge?
I'm game.
All right, we need 2 more.
I'll play.
Certainly.
And the rest of the morning into lunch passes. The passengers all seem very nervous, as you might expect, but they are taking their minds off it, and you hear the general muttering around, being that damn fool shouldn't have gotten off the train, is the general consensus. The rest of the day passes with idle chit chat, trying to not think about what happened, and games of whist and bridge, and having your meals as night descends once again. The conductor Samuel Thompson comes through and recommends everybody to stay in the car all night and to close and lock the doors of their sleeper cabins and also of the main passenger cabins as well, just to be safe.
I wouldn't mind doing something.
What is that?
I'm assuming I know where Mr. Ames's sleeper car is.
Yes.
I'd like to go in there
Mm-hmm.
and see what I can find.
All right. Roll me the relevant trait that you have to not be observed doing that first.
10.
You are pulled out your lockpick sit, and you're just about to pry it open when Henry Alverton comes down the hallway and sees you at the door.
Miss Monahan.
Reverend?
I did not realize you had a key to Mr. Ames's accommodations.
Not a key exactly. I was just curious. Couldn't sleep. really.
The day's events certainly weigh on our minds.
Indeed. I would say poor man, but
He was assuredly not.
no.
Seeing you at his door does bring to mind we should probably, at some point, check his things for
Next of kin. Who can we
information.
contact?
Yes.
That's what my thoughts exactly. How in sync we are.
Yes. Miss Monahan, remind me what you were headed to San Francisco. I don't remember why.
Oh, well, you see, my father passed recently. And
I'm so sorry for your loss.
thank you. Due to the hardships that we faced during the war, I was forced to sell our home. And I thought, what a better way to start anew than just pick up and move cross country.
To start anew. Turn
Indeed.
over a new leaf.
Absolutely.
Enjoy a second chance at starting things fresh.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Perhaps we should check with the conductor about checking Mr. Ames's room.
You are so astute, Mr. Alberton. We shall we not? Although he might be sleeping right now, I would not want to wake him.
Of course, we can wait till the morning.
Yes, that
In
is
fact, Miss Monahan, I will speak to the conductor in the morning about going through his room, and I'm sure no one will disturb his things before then.
absolutely not, of course. Why
Have a
would
good
they?
night, Miss Monahan.
You as well.
And I leave her at the door.
Ada Monahan.
I'm going to continue what I was doing.
Very well. Roll to pick that lock.
15.
You open the door.
I meticulously. I want to use my perception, and I want to take note of exactly where everything is.
All right. Go ahead. Roll me that.
11.
All right. You think you have it in your mind?
I do. And I just want to poke about, see if I can find his billfold, maybe a pocket watch or something.
Going through things, you eventually do find a billfold with about $100 in it.
I take half.
Very well. You find yourself $50 richer.
Delightful.
Only
I stick
half.
it deep.
Has it been established that it was $100 or $100 bill? Because that is a very different situation. Yeah.
Long ways.
Of
You
course.
did say about $100, so you can't have about $100 bill.
Anyway, I stick that $50 deep in my corset.
Very well.
And I put everything back exactly how I thought it was. And I slip out. I try to lock the door behind me.
Roll me your relevant skill for that. Shouldn't be too hard.
14.
Yeah, you succeed. The door is locked behind you.
I go on to my quarters.
At about midnight, now about 1 a.m, you are all awakened by a commotion. There are people yelling, and no sound of wolves, no howling. You just hear people yelling and screaming, and then suddenly you hear a pistol shot. Again, it's from the far end of the train down by the caboose.
I run straight down there.
As do I.
As do I.
Yes.
Very well. You get to the far end, and you are at you get to the last sleeper car, and then beyond that last sleeper car is one regular passenger car, and then beyond that is the baggage train, and then the caboose. So you're in that last sleeper car, and there's one passenger car between you and the baggage, and there are people trying to shove their way out of that passenger car, while people in the sleeper car are trying to figure out what in creation is going on. You do see Samuel Thompson is there once again, the conductor, and he's got a pistol in his hand. He's just leaned back in from leaning out the window.
I start
the window.
directing foot traffic of like, please single file, everyone calmly make your way this way. And I'm helping them go in the direction they seem to want to go.
They want to go toward the front of the, they want you to go toward the front. They want to go toward the front of the train, away from the back of the train. Something has obviously scared them at the back of the train.
What is happening?
Samuel Thompson, I don't know. There's something out there, and it broke into the back car.
Give me that.
Just
I take his
my
pistol out of his
my
hand.
pistol's out too.
All right, you both have pistols now. Samuel is apparently too stunned to take to hold on to the pistol, and you just grab it.
All right. Stay behind me. Nudge the door open. Go in.
Oh, the door is open. The door,
the door is open.
People are trying to get through.
Oh, okay. Move, and people get punny. I shove them behind. I keep going. They're going this way. I'm going that way.
Same. Right behind him.
Very well.
Same.
Oh, and Ada's behind behind two of you. So you eventually are sort of conveying the people past you to Henry, who's then directing them further up the train. Roland, you finally get into that back passenger car. Just to remind you what it sort of looks like, but without all the people in it. It looks a little like that. You can see it's relatively narrow. There are bench seats along the sides. There's a little bit of hanging light lamps and baskets for luggage and personal effects, that sort of thing. And you can see as you enter there, pretty much everyone is out except for in the very back. You see a pair of legs go out a window to the right-hand side of the train, as if their body had been pulled out, and the legs are the last thing you see going out of the train.
Where's the nearest door? Is there?
There's one right next to you. You can go in between the cars and get out on the side.
I do. It's the same side.
It is dark, but you can see multiple shadowy figures out there. There's appears to be some sort of struggling going on as well.
I run up towards the struggle, and
I'm right behind
I
him.
say, "Hey, stop it now! I have a gun."
All right. And Jackson, you followed as well?
Yes.
Ada, what did you do?
I am going to stay on the train, but I am going to be looking out
Look out the window?
the window.
All right. And Henry, you hear Roland yell just as the last people are going past you.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep in the. If the last person goes past, then I guess I will start moving in that direction down the train towards them.
Very good. You are at the junction of the cars, so you could step out in a moment if you so desire.
Okay.
Roland, what greets your eyes is there is clearly the passenger that you just saw get yanked out of the window. It's a young man, and he is held by two very emaciated, scraggly looking, maybe people in rags that are holding on to him by each shoulder, and they're pulling him away from the train.
Let him go now.
As you say that, one of the scraggly figures bites into the neck of the gentleman. A gout of blood courses across the ground, spraying everywhere. The man gives out a gurgled scream.
I immediately shoot at that assailant.
Very well. Given your previous employment, you can roll the appropriate number of dice. You do have helps if you want to use them.
I'm going to roll a help on this one as well.
All right, so roll an extra die and then just take the highest. I guess Marshall is your primary one. Secondary. So roll 3. Normally you roll 3d6, but because of the help, you will roll 4, and you will take the highest 3.
I got a 15, sir.
You barely wing the biting figure in the shoulder, and it stops its actions and looks up at you. Very well. Jackson, what do you do?
I'm mostly, this pistol is for intimidation most of the time. So I'm taking a careful aim, but the hammer is back, and I have a bead on the one that has just reacted to that.
The one that just so that one bit this gentleman.
Yes.
Roland shot him, and now you're spending some time to take a careful bead on that one.
Yes.
Very well.
I'm like I said, this pistol mostly for me is used for intimidation. Before I pull a trigger, I'm making sure that I will hit the thing that I want to do. I want to hit.
At that moment, the other one, there's one on each shoulder of the gentleman, lets go and jumps at Roland.
I shoot. I pull the trigger.
Very well. Very well. You do have a help available to you if you like.
Certainly. I will use the help.
All right. So normally your traits are... Well, given your traits, I would say that you would roll 3, given that one trait of yours.
Mm-hmm.
You're no stranger to firearms.
Right.
So roll 4d6 to pick the highest 3.
I like this very much. 16.
16. The bullet, there's a loud report as the pistol goes off. The bullet strikes the creature right in the midsection. It doubles over onto the ground, writhing. Ida, you've just heard 2 gunshots and a scream.
Also,
You're looking out the window. You can kind of see what's going on as I have described it.
Hell. I go on out there. Why not?
All right. You jump off and you see this scene I have described to you. There's one of the assailants appears to be on the ground, gut shot. The other one was just clipped in the arm and is still holding on to the unfortunate passenger, who is going very still very suddenly. And then let us see. Henry, what do you do?
I'm at the same junction that they all exited to go outside.
Yes, you are now.
I'm just sort of crouched in the junction with my back against the train, facing away from where the assailants are.
Correct.
And looking at the rest of these guys. Like, what's out there? What's going on? What's going on?
Roland, it is your turn to act.
All right. You just put the one on the ground. I take another shot at the one that is still holding him.
All right, there's your revised totals as far as
All right. And I'm gonna roll again with the help.
All right. Normally we declare that before you roll, but
I'm so sorry. I hadn't rolled yet.
Oh, all right. Good.
Yeah.
Just announce before you roll. That's all I ask.
Beg pardon. Ooh, very nice. I got 16 on that.
You managed to shoot it in the head.
Ooh.
Go on.
It
now.
lets go of the man. It falls to the ground, and as it lets go of the passenger, he also falls to the ground.
Do I have the ability to start running over towards him?
Not yet. Your action was to shoot. Jackson.
There's another one.
He shot one in the head. You shot one in the gut. It's still moving on the ground.
I'm shooting that one again. It is
Very well.
a
Go ahead.
44 revolver. I will use a help before I roll. $13.
You shoot it right in the back, and it writhes even more, but is still moving. Which you find odd. You put 244 bullets into its midsection. It lurches to its feet and makes a dive at Jackson. So Jackson, I need you to roll me a 3d6.
All right. 12.
No, Jackson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jackson. I'm sorry.
$12.
Well, you manage to step back out of the way as it flops almost impotently toward you. Its hands reaching out. Its fingers are long nails that look almost like claws, but they are vaguely human hands. Its face is twisted back in a rictus grin with rotted teeth that are covered in a blackish blood. And it is still trying to scramble toward you. Its eyes are milky and filmed over. It is just, it is hideous. It looks like there are blue patches on its skin. Chunks are rotted away. Its clothing is almost non-existent. It's virtually rags. Ida.
I run, and as I do so, I whip my jacket off, and I'm going to try and staunch the bleeding on that poor man that's on the ground.
Very well. You run up and you try to apply a compress to his neck. What skill do you think you might have that would serve that?
Laugh?
No. Very well. Roll me 2d6.
I'm going to use a help on this
Very
one.
well. Roll 3d6 and pick the two highest.
I got an 11.
You managed to clamp down on his wounded neck, and he stops struggling as much. And while he is in a terrible state, you think you've stopped the bleeding enough to at least buy him some time. Henry.
The moment Ida takes off towards the victim, I follow her, run after toward the victim as well.
All right, you have arrived at the victim.
Gonna try to help her, help her, help him, or just help him, whatever's easiest.
All right. Well, she seems to have stopped the bleeding quickly.
Okay. Is there the one that's still moving is not near us?
No, it's scrambling toward Jackson instead.
Okay.
It seems to have forgotten its previous quarry.
And the one that's shot is lying on the ground near us?
Yes, and it was shot in the head and is not moving.
Okay. Since she seems to have it as in control at the moment as it can, like, so I run over, look at what she's doing with him, and then almost distracted by this other thing, I wander over to look at this body, the creature thing.
It is definitely an emaciated and decayed human form. It is definitely was once a man, wearing rags, shredded and torn. Its mouth is covered in blood, obviously.
But it looks like it's been dead for a while, as opposed to just when shot.
Roll me your chaplain. You've seen this sort of thing. You've seen the dead.
I have seen the dead, more than I'd care to admit. 17.
This is the dead, but it moves.
Yeah.
But now it's not moving anymore.
Right. I think I'm just standing there staring in disbelief at this thing.
Very well. Roland, it is your turn. You saw that the one that has been shot, the one that you shot is no longer moving, but the one that Jackson has shot is still trying ineptly to lunge at Jackson.
All right, I see that Ada is staunching the blood flow.
Yes.
All right, I go over. Am I able to basically line up my shot, take, and shoot?
Yeah, it'll be a harder difficulty, but yes.
All right, well, we're gonna do that.
You have 2 helps available to you.
All right, we're taking a help.
Taking 1. All right.
And I will roll and shoot.
Roll 4d6. Take the highest 3.
Let's do this. 14.
14. Well,
Yes, sir.
you do manage to strike it, and a large section of the right side of its cranium comes away, and the gelatinous mass that was its brains spill out upon the snow in front of you, and it ceases to move.
Well,
we are no longer in any sort of initiative order. What would you all like to do now that this has just happened?
I go to the bleeding man. I go to Ada and the bleeding man. All right.
Yes, of course. Yes, take care of the injured.
All right, keep your hand right there. Keep a lot of pressure. Jackson, I need you to run inside, and I need you to run and go get a couple of porters so we can carry this man back with a stretcher or something we can lash together so we can get him back inside. Henry, I need you start ripping some fabric so we can start wrapping him.
Yes.
I run up, get stuff for I do what he said, get the porters, let them know.
All right. Just to make this simplified, Roland, roll for your roll for the fact that you were a corpsman.
All right.
And those of you who are now assisting, I would like you each to roll as well. Ida, I would like you to roll just 2d6. Henry, roll 3, and Jackson, roll 3.
6.
And before Roland tells me, Ida, what'd you get?
6.
All right. Jackson?
11.
11. All right. Henry?
12.
12. Roland,
Yes,
add 2 to whatever you just rolled.
Oh, all
The
right.
assistance of the others.
All right, fantastic. 23.
23.
Yes,
You managed to stop the bleeding. You determined that while there is a serious damage to his neck, the carotid was not severed in the process, and you managed to get the bleeding stopped. The patient, he passes out, but he is roughly stable, and you managed to get him back into the train.
All right. Okay. Is there a doctor on board? Like an actual doctor? That's said to the conductor. So.
You are met with silence as everyone is in utter shock.
People, is there a doctor?
Samuel, the porter Samuel, says, "I don't know. I can start going through the train, and I'll ask everybody. I'll see if I can find
Even
one.
a vet, someone who knows, a dentist. If there's any more laudanum."
All right, I'll go. And he starts going, because remember now, this train is a football field long, so he's going to go up through the cars because you're at the back. Mm-hmm. So he's going to go through and look for him. What is everyone else doing?
I think I'm just standing out in the snow, just staring at these things lying on the ground, trying to wrap my head around what's going on. Not doing much, but it's a cool shot.
So the porters have taken the man to go lay down in like his stateroom.
They've taken. He's just basically back in that passenger car that was in the back, because that was right there, and it was empty of people already.
All right.
Those benches fold down.
Right.
So they folded them down and have him on those.
All right. I'm going to sit there. Mr. Weatherwax, go get me 2 bottles of whiskey. What do you, like? And a brand, don't care. I was going to say I could use a couple of bottles myself. And I go and grab some whiskey.
You find,
and I'm also, but I also, because the woman didn't take the laudanum. I bring that back too.
He hands you a bottle of laudanum,
as well as 2 bottles of whiskey. All right. I use a little bit of it to wash off his wound. Try to clean it out. I take some, trick it myself, and then wait, laudanum. You know how to administer that? Yes. Do. Give the patient laudanum. Just I measure it out and.
His breathing while shallow is now constant and smooth, if a bit shallow.
It's and just a dropper. It's just all right. All right, boy.
Very shortly thereafter, Samuel Thompson comes back and he says, "I brought a doctor. There is one. He's retired. Dr. Albertson." And an elderly gentleman comes in and he says, "Yes, I haven't practiced in a while. Yes. Oh my God. Quickly." And he immediately takes over and is apparently like suturing up the gentleman. And now that he has that under control, the 4 of you are sort of relieved of that duty.
All right. I had planned to partial out that journey to help with my troubles traveling. I believe it will be better used to medical assistance. I might not be in the best of company for the next 2 days, though. But I don't let any anybody is.
Roland still has the laudanum. The doctor did not take it from him. So he hands it
No.
back to you.
I wish to keep my wits about me.
Very well. All this takes a bit of time, and by the time everyone calms down a bit, the sun is starting to rise after several hours of dealing with this unfortunate man, and he seems to be stable and asleep, resting. Dr. Albertson volunteers to stay with him and keep an eye on him, make sure that. But he's Dr. Albertson says that he's fairly confident that provided he suffers no further trauma, that this man will live.
Was the window open or was it smashed?
Well, now that you're taking the time to look around, several windows are smashed. There are footprints leading up to and from. You're looking around. Give me perception rolls as you're looking around the scene of the carnage.
If there's smashed windows and there's anything that I can start nailing up to the smashed windows, I'm going to do that.
Yes, you do find some lumber, and you can do that.
That is absolutely what I'm going to do. As a carpenter, I imagine 4.
Yes.
$15.
It is fairly secure. Ada, you were looking around. What did you roll?
12.
12. You are fairly certain that more than 2 things were here, and more than one person was dragged out of the train. There are tracks through the snow that go off into the wood line. Bloody tracks.
Well, screw it. Now's a good time as any. There were more than 2 of those things in here, and there seemed to be some bloody footprints leading off into the tree line there.
When he hears this, the conductor, Samuel Thompson, does a quick check throughout the train and discovers that a Florence Dahlia and a Claudine Atherton are missing.
This might be the acme of foolishness, but could we drive the train backwards in any direction, just getting out of here to perhaps somewhere to a switchback and making our way back to anywhere else?
There is a snowdrift about 4 feet high behind the train at this point.
Yeah, if the tracks are snowed out forward, they're snowed out backwards as well.
We're stuck here until that plow gets here.
I've been standing in the snow, staring at these things for most of this time. Eventually, I kind of snap out of it and kind of start looking at them more closely. Like, what did their clothing, even though it's rags now, what did it maybe used to be? Any kind of information I can gather from them.
Looking at it, they seem odd. The clothing seems terribly unfashionable, terribly old. Give me I'm trying to think of your traits. Roll me 2d6.
Okay. I'll use a help for it.
All right.
11. Thanks, help.
This clothing went out of fashion in the 40s.
All right.
I once things are more settled, I go to my luggage where I've kept the small crucible, and I get that going and say to the conductor, I'm like, if there is any gunpowder, we can start working on munitions quickly, as we might need it.
All right. Roland, what are you doing?
I'm talking with the conductor about guns and ammunition. Well,
Really?
And how we might need to ration everybody so we can make things last a little bit longer.
All right. And Ida, what about you?
I go out into the snow and I try to get the blood off of myself.
Very good. You're trying to like clean yourself as best you can, and you notice that Henry is there staring at those figures, and as he's staring there, the porter Marcus Grenville comes on up to the two of you and is sir, madam, we should probably go inside. It's warmer in there and a bit cold, and it's we are at an elevation of 7,000 feet. The lake is right over there, and it's probably not helping any. It's on the other side of this ridge line. Can't quite see it from here, but I'm sure there's a cold wind blowing off that lake too. It's not helping out. Donner Lake is very frigid this time of year.
I'm sorry, what lake?
Donner Lake is very frigid this time of year. And with that, we will end our session here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your Gloom Master, and I want to thank my players for joining me here today. I'd like to take a moment to go around and introduce them, but first, let me really quickly thank our sponsors very fast. I would like to, first of all, thank Ren Adventures. RenAdventures.com. We're doing a tour down in New Orleans, December 5th through the 9th. Go to RenAdventures.com. You will game during the evenings, tour around, do some ghost tours, come to the Louisiana Renaissance Fair, see many of us there. We'll be performing and we'll be joining you in and around New Orleans to tour and to game as well. I'd also like to thank 3D2U. They are our good friends. They're doing 3D printing and wood burning gaming crafts, such as dice towers, dice boxes, and also journals, all sorts of things. Check them out at 3d2u.org. And of course, I want to plug myself and my wife. We have a book out, Dare, a collection of short stories, mainly horror and science fiction, with some dark poetry as well, by Melissa Lee, narrated by me, Tom Zadoyko. You can find it on Amazon or Audible. But now that I've done that, I would like to introduce our players and find out who they are and where you can see them in the real life. Let's start with Roland Hussey.
Hi, I'm Dan Kostelik. I sometimes play your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare at Renaissance fairs around the country, and I'm also the entertainment director of the Scarborough Renaissance Festival. We opened next weekend, April 8th and 9th. We run for 8 weeks and go through Memorial Day, which is May 29th. Come on out and see some of your favorite Ren Fair acts here, like Don Juan and Miguel, and Celtic Legacy, and Acrobatric. I'm sorry. The Accidental Acrobats, Cirque du Soleil, so many more. So it's going to be absolutely wonderful, and I'm just so very excited about it. And thanks for having me.
Indeed. And also like to say hello to Jackson Weatherwax.
Hello. I'm Steve O'Dockerson. You can go to hobthetroll.bandcamp.com and hear some really If you've ever wondered what a bridge troll singing Steely Dan covers would sound like, right down there. Yeah.
Boy,
yeah.
have I.
Place.
My album 50 Million Hob Fans Can't Be Found. Yeah, that's available on there. Both of my Christmas albums, Troll the Ancient Yuletide Carols. There it is. And another album, Pet Smells, is you can get that. I'm going to be at the Pirates of Pontchartrain. Did I say it right? Did I actually say it right?
You did.
Yay!
I'll be there Easter performing. Sterling Renaissance Festival, Pennsylvania Renaissance Festival, coming at you.
Very good. We also have Ada Monahan.
Hi, guys. My name is Katie Hauser. I have an Instagram, Rune Away With Me, Katie, where I do rune readings. I'm also a member of Chase Treasure. You can find us on Patreon at www.chasetreasure.com/.
Just say slash.
Yep. Patreon.com/Chase Treasure, because we are PG-13. So
Yes,
come check
you
us
can't
out.
just search from the Patreon site. You actually
Yes.
have to put
The
there
slash.
you
There
go.
it is.
You have to
Thank
actually do it
you.
by the slash, otherwise you cannot find
Yeah.
them.
Yep. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's
And
it.
we also have Henry Alverton.
Hi, friends. I'm Ryan Gelotti.
And we're
you
at
can-
time. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Been great.
Aw.
Matt Damon, I'm so sorry.
You could see me as half of the Buckle and Swash sword fighting show. Next to be seen at the aforementioned Pirates of Pontchartrain Festival, Easter weekend in Louisiana. We'll also be at the Tennessee Renaissance Festival in May, and sometime, I'm going to say August, I think, we'll be at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair.
Yes, with maybe another date or two to be announced. We are still waiting to see what happens for June. But those are the definites. You
Yep.
can see Buckle and Swash at Pirates of the Pontchartrain Easter weekend in Hammond, Louisiana. You can see us at the Tennessee Renaissance Fair in Triune, Tennessee, just south of Nashville. And then you can find us at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair in the first 5 weeks of that show, August into September. And I am Tom Zadoyko. I'm the other half of that aforementioned Buckle and Swash. Also, we have an TikTok, Instagram, and Patreon for Quill and Quote. Handler Z, who's in the background, who's been doing all the comments on the side there. She writes the stories. I narrate them. If you become a Patreon member, we send them directly to you. We also have our book Dare, which I've already mentioned. And we've been throwing out the occasional goofy video of me reading mundane things on our TikTok and Instagram. So you can check us out there at Quill and Quote. If you want to go to our Patreon, likewise, you have to do a / to find us. So it's Patreon / Quill and Quote. Otherwise, you will not discover us because it is horror-based fiction. So it is 18 and over as well. So that's the only way you can find us there. But friends, thank you so much for joining us here at Gothic Horror Gaming. We've got some more sessions coming up. Look for us next week here again at 9 p.m. Eastern Time to roughly 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will see what our players will make with this newfound information and the newfound horrors they are confronting. Until then, everyone, thank you so much for joining us and have a pleasant evening.
Mwah!